Hey guys, welcome back to the Youth
All right.
Podcast. I'm Toro. This is John, and we're back at it with another episode for you guys. And I wanted to kick this episode off by asking John, which board game is your favorite board game of all time?
Okay, I have 140, and growing. Sorry, it's growing. Hard to admit, but I do. I would say Quest for El Dorado by Reiner
Mm,
Knizia. It's what's called a deck building and a racing game. So it puts like two different types of categories together in a game, and it's just a ton of fun. I've brought it to game day a couple times. I've taught it to maybe 8 different kids, and every single person who's played it, they loved it. I also had one of our high school leaders, Dan, come over. I taught it to him. We were playing till about midnight. He loved it, and so it does take up a good amount of space on the table. But the good thing about it, it's different every time you play. You can move the pieces around, and
mm,
so it's really simple, ton of fun, and I've never had a bad game playing that. I've played it maybe 15 times, so that is definitely
nice,
my number one all time. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I think for me, it's hard to choose. There's a couple like I really love Camel Up. That's the one that you bought. I guess it's not a board game, but I like Flip Seven. Um, But I think if I had to pick, like I like Catan, but I think if I had
Mm.
to pick my favorite, I have a game called Zombies. It's zombies exclamation point exclamation point exclamation point, and it's kind of like the one that you said where you build it out. So every turn you draw a town card and you're building out this
Mm.
city, but then you put zombies on them and you have to move throughout the city that you've built and fight zombies and use dice to roll, and you can use equipment cards to kind of help you or not help the other players. And we literally played it for our game day. We did a
Yeah.
late night game day,
Yeah.
and
Like last Wednesday, huh?
yeah, it
Yeah.
literally went like almost. We started at probably 8 o'clock. We went till 9:30,
Wow.
so it took us an hour and a half, and we played the short version of
Yeah.
it. But we just kept like attacking each other. So as soon as
Mm.
somebody like basically at the end of the game, you placed a helipad, and that's how you escape. And we just kept messing each other
Mm.
up so bad. It was only maybe like 3 squares away from us,
Wow.
and we just kept making it
Yeah.
harder and harder for
Yeah.
us to win. And so finally, what ended up happening was everybody got to the helipad except for me, and I sacrificed myself so the game could
So,
end.
sometimes games take way too long. Like, okay, let's just someone can end it, please. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
So
like I like games that build up. Like it's gonna end soon, and like okay, I might have one more turn.
yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta maximize
You got
it.
to do
So
what you can
yeah, yeah,
to get the most points right there.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a fun game too because you can play it against each other or you can actually play it cooperatively. So I
Cool.
like that there's that option, but
Yeah,
we always just end up messing each other up
yeah.
anyway.
That's how
So
it is. Yeah, yeah.
all right, well we just had both of us had our own Sunday services the week before. You were teaching in main service, so good
Yeah.
job. That was awesome. I hope you guys got to see John teach. Talked on the Psalms. It was really, really good. So if you didn't, go back and watch it on the main church's YouTube channel. But yeah, did you want to give us just what did you teach on in high school this week? And then I've got some questions for you.
Yeah, cool. So we're talking about we're in Luke chapter 6 verses 27 through 36, and we really wanted to have the kids think about the easy way or the harder way. And so we talked about just, certain things in life where when we take the easy way out, right, there's always things that could happen that most likely will go wrong. And so especially when it comes to homework, there's a certain kids wait till like the last second, and then they end up using certain things and turning in things late, and it's just not their best work, and then they have to do the work again, and then it just takes a more time. So just trying to encourage everyone that when you take the easy way out, it doesn't always work out in the end. And in
Mm,
Jesus, he almost every single time, the hard way is the best way because we grow and we get challenged and we see God working in our lives. And I got a few more things to maybe say about that, but if you have some
yeah,
questions, go ahead and
yeah.
fire away.
Well, I guess my first question, you kind of answered it, but maybe there's more you can speak on it. But why does Jesus ask us to do the harder things more often than the easy things? What do you think?
So I reminded them that God did the hardest thing possible by
Hmm.
giving his one and only son for us. And because of that, we have forgiveness, we have grace, we have mercy. And so I think that it comes from the heart of God. Like God never does the. I mean, technically, everything for God is easy because God's all knowing, all powerful. But if He did the hardest thing possible by giving Jesus to us, and we know that Jesus is going to be with us if we believe in Him,
Mm-hmm.
then we know that any hard thing that we face is going to be worth it. And so we talked, especially in verses 27 and 28. Uh, Jesus says here, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. And these are all hard things. Like, who wants to love their enemies? Like, our flesh naturally does not want good things to happen to those people who are our enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, like a lot of us and our students, we don't have enemies in the way that a lot of people in the world that are persecuted have.
Yeah.
We got people that we just don't get along with very well, and it's very hard to love them. So when it comes to blessing others who curse us, if someone's saying things about us, like either we want to say something back or just ignore them. But to bless them, that's like, it's kind of weird. It's really
Yeah.
hard. And so what I was trying to encourage them to think about is because God has given so much to us, and if we receive the gift that He has given us, salvation, then He will give us the courage also to do the hard things, and that way, hopefully over time, then those around us can see the work that God has done in our lives, and so that they can also hopefully one day believe in Jesus for themselves, and so it could turn their life around. So I think that doing the hard things for others, it just gives others a glimpse of the goodness and the love of God.
Yeah.
So
I think it's also important too to like know that God's all knowing, and like He's gonna ask us to do some hard things. And I think life is hard. That's one of the things I'm learning is just like every new season I'm in is gonna be hard. It's gonna be difficult. There's difficult things we face, and God's building an endurance in us. Right? We're running this race, and He is building this endurance in us to be able to continue to serve Him and continue to do things for His kingdom despite the hard things that we face. So when we do the hard things that Jesus calls us to do, we are going to build that endurance. So as more and more hard things come, we're reliant on God, and He can get us through those difficult things that we face.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what I found especially unique is the way that Jesus used these four words, like love, do, pray, bless. And so it's what's called an imperative. So they're not suggestions. He wasn't suggesting that we should bless others or that we should pray or that we should love. An imperative is a command. And so when it was written here, Jesus was issuing the command that these are the things that you do to others, because Jesus has blessed us in more ways than we could possibly imagine. He's loved us in more ways than we can possibly imagine. He's done so many good things in our lives. And so what we do for others is what Jesus has done for us. So He would never ask us to do things that He Himself hadn't experienced or done. So when I see love, do, pray, bless, it may seem daunting, but I know with God by our side, it's something that we can actually do.
Yeah. Well, I think that's awesome. I think one of the things, though, when we think about dealing with difficult things is it's kind of discouraging that life's going to be hard, or being a follower of Jesus is going to require us to do hard things. So how can we be encouraged knowing that following Jesus is going to be difficult?
I try to think about, if I consider the opposition. So if I think about how difficult it might be to follow Jesus, I think about what He has done for me. And if I think about the opposite, like, where would my life be if I don't follow Him? It'd be so much worse. Or if anything, I would have the appearance that things might be better, but it definitely is not going to work out in the end. So when I think about some of the challenges that may come my way, and then and things, they don't just come once a year. Things come in bunches, right? It could be just a few weeks and just a ton of things going on at once, and maybe a few months will pass, and then something will happen again. So it's not like we expect these things to come.
Yeah.
But I know that if we don't have God by our side during these moments, if I choose to live a life away from Him, it's just going to be so much worse. Because I would have no hope. I would have no reason to think that things will get better. I would have no reason to think that there is meaning behind these specific things. And so, I just know with him there, like, I know it's something that I can face, even if I can't do it at my own strength. I could just rely on his strength. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think of James, and he says, "Consider it pure joy, facing trials of many kinds." Like, um, and I think Jesus calls us to do difficult things, and we can consider that a tribulation, but like we can consider that pure joy that God is growing us, even though we're facing these difficult things or doing the hard, making the hard choice. God is growing us through all of those things, and we're going to come out on the other side with a stronger faith and be more mature followers of Jesus. And like you said, other people are going to be blessed by what they see God doing in us, and it can encourage them to keep going, to keep following Jesus, even though it's difficult and even though it's hard. And you'll have a wonderful testimony of how God got you through that, or how God grew you through that, or how God challenged you to do the difficult thing and what he did through that process.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So do you have anything that parents and students can kind of discuss or do together in response to this message?
Yeah, just encouraging, find someone that you can either love, you do something good to, that you could bless them, or pray for them. So I think that Jesus gives us tangible things that we can do. So yeah, I would just really encourage the students to think about, who do they see? Because a lot of them just went back to school this week. Maybe some of them haven't seen them much during the summertime, but just keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities, because it's really hard to do some of these things if we are not paying attention, if we don't see the needs of those around us. And like I'd let them know, many of us don't have a lot of enemies. We don't have a lot of people that are like cursing us all the time. But that doesn't mean that we can't love, do, play breast for anyone around us. And so I would just encourage you to keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, listen to that still small voice that God often uses to communicate things, and then do it. Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like the students enjoyed that talk on Sunday.
I think so. It gave them a lot to think about, and a lot of them were very open and honest about certain things. So it got them very well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you had a good Sunday. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that talk. In junior high on Sunday, we went over the story of Rahab in Joshua chapter 2, and it was a really good time. We are in our series called Crazy Faith, and we're talking about how we can have faith that others might say, you're a little crazy. We've talked about Noah. We talked about David with Goliath. And this week we talked about Rahab and the city of Jericho. And so if you don't know the story, Rahab, Joshua sends out a couple spies to scout out Jericho before they're going to capture it, because this is the promised land that God has promised them, and he's called them to go and capture the land. And he sends two spies out, and they end up at Rahab's house, and she's a prostitute. And the kids are like, why'd they go to the prostitute's house, right? That's kind of weird. But this was kind of a location that was a little bit more anonymous, and the city was under strict guard. So it was a place they could go and kind of scope things out without drawing too much attention. And anyways, King finds out they're there and commands Rahab to give them up, and she says, nope. Well, she doesn't say nope. She just says, oh, they already left. And she hides them on the roof. And she just shows that crazy faith to say, like, I know who God is. I've heard of his power, and I'm going to choose God over my people, over the idols that they worship, over my life. I'm going to choose God. And she asks for protection, and they do that. They tell her to tie the scarlet cord around the window, and keep her family in there, and they'll be safe when they take the city. And so that's where that story ends. So yeah, it's a really good story, really cool. But I think they really enjoyed it. Some of the kids didn't know what a prostitute was, so
it's always weird when they ask, like, okay, like, how do I say this? And I've even had students ask, oh, what's circumcision? And I'm like, all right, God, give me wisdom to communicate these things.
Yep. So I tried to communicate it without giving any details, but I mean, the truth is that's what I had to share what a prostitute was for them to
Yeah.
understand the severity. And we talked a lot about like her background and stuff. Like it didn't matter what she was when she decided to surrender to God and do it. Like
Yeah.
God used her despite that. So yeah.
And her name is listed in the genealogy of Jesus. And so to
Mm-hmm.
show that somehow, some way that she had played a role in bringing the Messiah into the world is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like when she had, mentions how I've heard of your God. I've heard what happened. So this is only a few months after the plagues in Egypt and the Exodus. And so her living 20, 50, I don't know how many miles away from like everything happened. It's pretty far away. And for her
Yeah.
to hear about, okay, these people, they're coming here and they have a God that parted the water. Like, I mean, I have to help them because
Yeah. Yeah.
if they did that for them, if I don't listen, like what might he do to my people? So
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Well, and it's another thing too that we talked about is the rest of her people heard the same stories,
Yeah.
and yet they were afraid of
Yeah.
God and they were afraid of the Israelites, and yet she had this crazy faith to stand up and say, "No, I'm going to trust
Yeah.
this God. I'm going to trust Israel." And yeah, it worked out for
Yeah.
her. And
Yeah.
well, spoilers, we don't know how it works out yet. We're going to find that out next week. So
Mm.
if you guys show up next Sunday, we're going to continue the story, and we'll see who else had some more
Yep.
crazy faith. But I wanted to give you guys some ways to maybe practice having crazy faith like Rahab did this week. So the first thing is just to remember that your identity is in Christ. I know some of us talked in small groups about like what we think our identity is, right? Some of us said we're like the sporty kid, the athlete, the smart kid, the boring kid, right? We said these might be our identity. And just remember that those things aren't who you are, right? You are a child of God. Your identity is in Jesus. That's the only thing that's important. Everything else fades away. So when you remember that your identity is in Christ, your past mistakes, your failures, even your accomplishments, all those things, they no longer become who you are, right? You're not the mistakes you made a few years ago. You're not that bad thing that you did. You're not those great things that you did, but rather you are a child of God. So remember that this week and find ways to make Jesus the thing that stands out about you, right? So if you're the sporty kid, you're the sporty kid because everybody knows you play sports. So if you want to be, if you want to make Christ the center of your identity, then find ways to make him the thing that stands out to other people around you. So things like being vocal about your faith, right? Telling people at school what you believe in, telling others what God's done in your life, how he's been working, or how he got you through a difficult situation. Even asking other people at school if they need prayer, right? I remember I told one of my small groups on Sunday, I vividly remember being at school and saying, I saw some kids sitting on the side of the building one day as I was walking past, and God was like, go pray for that student. And I didn't. And it like haunts me to this day. Like I know God has called me to do things, and I've said no to it. And Rafa, one of our leaders, shared a similar situation. He was at the gym, and he saw somebody. He was like, God told him to go pray. And he shared with us, like, he didn't do that. And then, like, a couple minutes later, he saw someone else come up and their heads were bowed and they were praying together. And it
Wow.
was like,
Yeah.
you know, it's crazy that we can be a part of God's plan. And yeah, he'll provide someone later on to do that same thing if we refuse. But we had that opportunity and we turned it down.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it's not like God is like, oh, they didn't do it. This person won't get any prayer at all. He'll find
yeah.
someone else. But I
Yeah.
think the one amazing thing that he wants us to be willing, and he wants to use people like us to be a blessing to others. So it's not like God will like, oh, sorry, you missed out. He'll pick someone else, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's really helpful for us to like listen to those things. It's really challenging. There's so many opportunities I can think of that I just completely was just too busy or
Yeah.
ignored or
Yeah.
whatever. So just learning how to listen, I think, is just a huge thing. It just takes time
Yeah.
to develop.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think it's important to note, like, God's not missing out if we disobey. We're the ones missing out because we don't get to partake in his plans and the way things,
Yeah.
the things that he's working on and doing. So it's just a good reminder to always
Yeah.
be looking for opportunities to follow through with what God's called us to do. So parents, families, like, what can you guys be discussing or doing this week really practice this out or respond to this message. I would challenge you guys together, read the story of Rahab, go to Joshua chapter 2, and read that together, and then discuss, like, what are the excuses that Rahab could have made here to not be obedient to God, to not have that crazy faith to do what she did, right? I won't give you any spoilers as what those are, but you guys can discuss, like, what things could have prevented her, what things around her, what things about her could have stopped her from doing that. And then talk about maybe what are some things that you've made excuses in the past to not follow. I always love to share my failures because failing helps us learn, right? We're supposed to learn from our failures. So share with each other where you have maybe failed, or where you have made excuses, where you have not followed through on something God has told you to do, and then maybe find new ways to look for those opportunities as a family, right? Maybe your next door neighbors, you go over and you have dinner or something like that, or you invite them over and you pray for them and they get to learn that you're followers of Jesus, or, stuff like that. How can you guys also as a family unit live out crazy faith? So, yeah, I think that'll be really cool for you guys to do together as a family, talk about, and I hope you guys get to come to us and tell us how it either helped you or didn't help you, or you grew or whatever. Now we want to close out with some fun stuff. We both just had overnighters recently.
Yeah.
So did you high school? You guys did your overnighter 2 weeks ago. Junior high, we just did our overnighter this last weekend. Did you have any highlights you wanted to share from your overnighter?
Yeah, so we have different types of overnighters throughout the year. So sometimes we'll have like a worship overnighter. Sometimes we'll have a Nerf overnighter. Sometimes we'll have like just a barbecue. So we have different things. So this one here was just more like a fellowship and like a game overnighter. And so I got the biggest pizza that I could find. Well, actually, second biggest pizza. So we just ate a lot of pizza. We played a lot of games. And so we had, I want to say it's like 16 or so people total. We hung out until about 10 to 10:30 or so. We played games. Some of the girls are doing like a church clap dance, and they asked me, "Hey, do you know how to do that?" I'm like, "No, I don't know how to do that." Like, how do you not know how to do that? So I try to do it, and it was bad. I'm like very uncoordinated, but I tried for a few minutes, and I'm like, I don't know the song, but they were laughing there, so it was just a fun time. You had certain kids, they were dancing and doing the church clap song, and then some were playing board games, and then some were playing other games, and we just hung out for about 10:30 or so, and then afterwards the guys and girls had separated, so the girls went to their room to sleep, and they just stayed up all night, hung out. Guys hung out, so it was a very chill, simple night. A lot of good conversation, a lot of laughter, and yeah, it's just something that we do a couple times a year that I really I look forward to.
Yeah, nice. I think a highlight for me, it was definitely after we split up. So we did more of like a Nerf thing together. So we, in the main building, we went and played Nerf all 3 floors. So if you guys find Nerf darts around the church, it was us. But we played Nerf till about 9:00, and then we end the night with sardines together. And sardines is like a big game of hide and seek. One person goes and hides somewhere, and then everybody else tries to go and find them anywhere in the building. And the lights are all turned off, so it's dark. And we had one of our students hide for the very first round of sardines. About 40 minutes went by because I was trying to take care of some other things, so I wasn't playing with them. But 40 minutes go by, and I'm still seeing students walking around, and I'm like, what's going on? And everybody I talked to was like, we can't find her. We can't find her. Only one person found her. It was one of our leaders, and I had to call the game because it was going on too long. So
did he say where it was?
No, she did not. I told her, I said, you have 2 options. You can tell us where it is, or you can take it to your grave. And I would highly recommend you take that to your grave. Yeah. And then I talked to her afterwards. I was like, you can tell me when you graduate so I can use that spot. Cool. But she has been dubbed the Sardines champion. So
what a prize. Sardines champion.
Yeah, we'll have to get her a little tin of sardines or something.
Yeah.
Which she would promptly refuse, I believe. Yeah. So I think
Well, just say no. If you don't want it, then just tell me where you were hiding that. That way you won't get it. So that way we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that was a cool, fun moment. And then we went to when we split up. It was just fun seeing all the boys hang out. When we go to do the you go to sleep or you stay up and hang out. All the boys got together on that big giant beanbag chair we have in the junior high room, and they were all watching a video together. But it was just it was fun to see like every single boy pack into that beanbag chair so they could watch on this little tiny phone, and they were having a good time. So just good fellowship, and
cool,
we got to see some fruit from that because a lot of the students that don't go to events on Sundays after church ended up staying for our event that Sunday, which following an overnighter where none of us got any sleep. It's pretty
really
incredible
cool to see.
So all right, well, I think we've got just the last thing to talk about. We've got some upcoming events. So first up on August 22nd, what do we got going on?
We have our beach trip. And so we want to make sure we're accounting for every single person who is going. So all the information is on our website, centerpointchurch.church. Check out the events tab. The cost is only $10. That will include gas, food, water, sodas, chips, all those good things there. We want to make sure we know everyone who is going. We also want to make sure we have space for every single person. So please use our website to sign up. And it's going to be a ton of fun. Yeah.
I think we've got like 25 to 30 spots, including leaders. And we've got about 6 students signed up right now. So go to the website. All our events are going to be there, so you guys can always stay up to date on the website, centerpointchurch.church/events, and then scroll down to the bottom. You'll see it says youth events there, and you'll click into it, and it'll take you to all of our events there. So, and then on the very next day, on the August 23rd, we're going to do a junior high Cal Skate night. So we're going to go to Cal Skate over in Grand Terrace, and we're going to roller skate, or if you're cool, rollerblade. But you guys can also register for that on the website. And I've got 2 ticket options there. So if you have your own skates, all you need to do is pay for entry. But if you need rental skates, there's entry and there's skate rentals on that as well. So you guys can check both of those. And then on September, which is a ways away, but there's a reason I'm announcing it super early, is we have our junior high cardboard chaos night, where we get a bunch of cardboard boxes and we do a bunch of fun games with them. We build towers, we build forts, we build cars, we build costumes, we throw them at each other, we throw dodgeballs at them. I saw online a Angry Birds style game that I maybe want to implement into it this year. But we need your guys' help to make this event be a success. So I am collecting clean cardboard from now until September 23rd. I think I mentioned this in the previous episode, but we're just getting as much cardboard as we can until that date so that we can have a huge amount of cardboard to use. We're also collecting newspapers and junk mail. So we got a couple of games involving those 2 things. So if you guys can also include either of those, that would be really helpful. But whatever you guys are able to bring, I would super appreciate it. So instead of packing your recycle bin full of cardboard and breaking it down, you don't even got to break it down.
But people break down their cardboard?
I think they're supposed to.
Oh.
But
the more you know. I tell my son, hey, buddy, make sure you put it all in there so that way it'll fit. He'll put like 2 boxes. I'm like, I can't fit anything else. So having come outside. So yes, break down the cardboard, please.
Well, you don't have to break it down. It'll save you some work. Just bring it even full.
Yes.
That's fine for us. I know you might want to pack it down in your car, but if you only got a few boxes, don't worry about it. Just bring it over and throw it in the junior high room, or bring it to the office if we're not here on a Sunday, and they'll get it to me, and we'll have a big event with cardboard, and you'll see videos of it online after we do it. So
yeah, awesome.
All right, well, I think that's it. So thank you guys for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
All right, bye guys.